You know, I was looking so forward to recording you guys a video about a stock I sold today, 3 stocks I bought here today, and we'll discuss that in this video. But this afternoon definitely screwed up my schedule. This video would have been out many hours ago. Obviously, I heard about the big news here today. Charlie Kirk was shot and did pass away. Now, as you guys know, I'm not very into politics, but I'd seen several of his clips over time, right? And when I heard this news, it was very troubling. And the reason, I mean, there's a multitude of reasons why this was troubling. It shows another day of gun violence in the United States of America, right? But another big factor is there's been a string over the past 5 years of violent attempted actions or actual violent acts, basically against politicians or people that are in the political realm. And there's a long list of them over this past 5 years. And I think we're just going through arguably the most divided time in the United States of America, and it's just brutal. It's just brutally sad, that something like this happens, right? I put this in my private stock group today. I said, I feel so sad for his little girls. I believe he has 2 little girls who will now grow up with no father. Rest in peace to him. All Americans' freedom of speech got shot today. Let that sentence stick with you. All Americans' freedom of speech, whether you loved that guy or you hated that guy or you were indifferent, whenever somebody like that, that has a point of view and he shares his point of view, when he gets taken out like that, everybody's freedom of speech gets shot in a situation like that. And I think that's something everybody's got to, come to grips with, right? And, additionally, I believe somebody corrected me and they said, oh, he actually has 1 boy, 1 girl. So I thought he had 2 girls. And then I was on X, looking around and, I was even for a few hours there and I was sharing stuff with people. I'm like, can you believe what this person said? And how could they have this take? And how could this person be this? And I was taking screenshots and sharing it around. And I just realized, I posted this on X. I said, I'm so done with X today. I said, F this. So many people being so radical. Some justify the shoot and some saying the entire Democratic Party needs to be eliminated. It's just ridiculous, man. And situations like this really bring out the worst in people in regards to, a lot of commentary. It's just ugly, man. It's ugly. And so, and I think things like with how radical some people are on social media, I think that leads to some of this stuff that we end up actually seeing in the real world. And it's so sad, man. Such a sad situation. So rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. And let's hope, this is an end to this sort of violence against, either politicians or people in the political realm, because it's, just ridiculous. As far as the stock market went here today, there was big news around Oracle. That was the shining star of the stock market. It was up nearly 36% here today. Larry Ellison's net worth grew a little under $100 billion in one day. Larry Ellison's net worth was up $94.5 billion. Unbelievable number there, right? Oracle now is the 11th biggest market cap weighting as far as the S&P 500 goes. So very important position now, the S&P 500, 1.58% of the weighting of the S&P 500. Now, it looks like it's not that meaningful when you look at stocks like NVIDIA at a 7% plus weighting or Microsoft at a 6% plus weighting, but believe me, that's really a large number there. So very meaningful. In today's video, I will share what I wanted to share with you guys many hours ago, but it took a while to get here, but I'm here. I'm going to share with you one stock I sold here today and why I did it, went ahead and did it essentially. I also going to share with you 3 stocks I bought here today and why I went ahead and bought those. Okay. And let me say, I never take for granted all you guys that are subscribed to the channel, all you guys that hit the like button on the videos. I appreciate each and every one of you for always being here. And I hope you guys appreciate me, sharing stuff like this with you guys. I always get, a lot of comments from people like, you're a great positive part of my day, things like that. And I thought on a day like today that is, really somber, obviously, hopefully I can bring at least a little bit of, positivity into people's lives today. So I appreciate y'all for joining me. Additionally, I'm gonna give you guys 2 free resources here today that I hopefully can help you out. I'm gonna give you my free stock picking checklist. If you guys would like access to that, I'll put that as the first pinned comment down there today, my portfolio management checklist. And then additionally, if you want access to a free workshop I have, I'll put that as a second pinned comment down there. This is how much money you need to retire. So hope you guys enjoy that, okay? Alrighty guys, let's get into this video here today. So major development happened that made me consider potentially selling this position, okay? And here's what happened, and then we'll get into why I sold the position. So basically, and this news has come out very recently, as in the past few days, the Supreme Court's going to agree to hear Trump tariff case this fall. Now, Basically, there's a possibility that the Trump tariffs and all the huge Trump tariff rates that have been, levied, the 50%, 75%, 100%, like the huge numbers you've heard, there's a potential that could be actually illegal. And maybe Trump doesn't have the, we can call it, I guess, jurisdiction to, I don't know if that might be the right term or not, but he basically doesn't have what he thinks he has in terms of power to do something like that, right? So the Supreme Court's actually going to look over this and likely make a judgment this fall at some point in time. Now, this is very meaningful for this one particular stock I just bought here recently. And the reason being is when it comes to appliances, basically in the new Trump tariffs, 50% tariff was supposed to be on steel and aluminum content in these different appliances, okay? Now, there's a company named Whirlpool that approximately 96%, according to the company, approximately 96% of the steel used in their U.S. products is sourced from the United States. Now, for these other companies, a lot of companies as Whirlpool has to compete with, right? They're able to source their steel from outside the United States and offer products at extremely competitive pricing, and even can import those products or export those products to the United States of America, right? Where somebody like Whirlpool has, I believe it's 8 factories inside the United States of America. And so sometimes many of these companies, these other appliance companies, whether it could be LG or Samsung or some of these different competitors that Whirlpool has to deal with, they're able to essentially make their washers, dryers, refrigerators, blah, 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 at potentially cheaper prices in Whirlpool. Then they're able to sell them at cheaper prices in Whirlpool, and that makes it a very tough market for Whirlpool to compete in, right? Now, if you know me, you know I just bought Whirlpool stock very recently, September 2nd, right? Now, I was already up 3.4% on this particular position, and I said, let me go ahead and sell Whirlpool today. So if you remember my thesis in regards to why I was buying Whirlpool stock, it was really 2 parts behind this. One was a housing turnaround 2026 and after, which I do believe is going to happen. I do believe there's going to be a housing turnaround in 2026 and after in the United States of America in regards to people like actually moving. Like the numbers have been awful in regards to people moving for the last several years. And then the other part was this tariff situation. Now, one of my big theses is in serious question. Like, we'll see what the Supreme Court rules here, but I think there's a pretty decent probability the Supreme Court could actually overrule Trump's crazy, the big, huge tariff numbers. And so if that's an overruled situation, it's not ideal for Whirlpool, because then it just goes back to the old situation where, these other companies can potentially dump appliances in the United States or get steel and aluminum and other things from outside the United States. And so I said, you know what, I got to go ahead and cash this stock. And so I went ahead and sold the position. I had literally just started on September 2nd because one of my theses is like potentially gone. And I'm like, okay, I can get out with a 3.4% profit in a matter of a little over a week. I think I'm going to take that. Now, the thing you got to understand about Whirlpool is this company, right? It's not in a great position at all. It's in a very bad position. Like Whirlpool's financials are a dumpster fire. So it really needs both of these things to really turn this show around. It needs those tariffs plus a housing turnaround over the next several years. If you can get both of them, then we could talk about a complete turnaround. But look at the company's revenues. This is where we're at on a trailing 12-month basis. It's not good. It's not good. And so my thought was 2026 and after, the revenues start to trend back up again. Business gets in a stronger spot, right? I don't know if that happens. If especially with the whole tariff situation. So the company's been in an ugly housing bust for, quite some time. And in regards to the housing bust, like when I talk about housing bust, some people are like, wait, aren't prices like near all-time highs or close to all-time highs? Sure. But we have a massive housing bust that's happened over the last 3 years in the United States of America. Existing home sales are busted. Like literally, the only people that have been moving from 2023 through this year, 2025, are people that have to move. Like they really got to move. They're moving states. Like they're like, I got to move. Okay. Other than that, like it seems like literally no one is voluntarily moving in 2023 through 2025, right? Even myself, like I'll move next year, but 2023 to 2025 now, nope, not moving, right? Now, there's 2 parts on why no one's moving in the United States of America. The one is mortgage rates. Mortgage rates are insanely high based upon what everybody got used to. There was over a decade straight, 2010 through 2022, everybody got used to 3 and 4% mortgages. I mean, some even got it 2.8% mortgages and something like that. But the moral of the story is everybody got addicted to 3 to 4% mortgages, and everybody got used to that. Well, 2023 through 2025, you know what the mortgage rates have been? They've been in the 6s or 7s. Now, when you go from 3 to 4 to 6s and 7s, and everybody was used to 3s and 4s, all of a sudden that's ridiculous. Like, people can't even consider that. Even if people are in a good enough financial position, a lot of people are like, dude, I'm not signing my name on a 7% mortgage when my current house has a 3% mortgage. No, thank you. And so that's a huge deal we have, right? Part 2 of this whole story is in regards to pricing. Pricing's gone insane. Like, we all know that, right? This is the pricing in my city, Las Vegas. I mean, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory on where home prices have gone over the last decade. Up and to the right in a massive way. I mean, if this is a stock, it would have been a great stock to buy, right? We would have made a lot of money on it. So for those reasons, Whirlpool, it's just kind of a really tough situation. Now, here's what I'm going to do with Whirlpool moving forward. I'm going to keep an eye on it still. I'm going to have it on my watch list. I'm going to see what the Supreme Court decision is. That's going to matter meaningfully. But like I said, there's a decent probability those Trump tariffs are overruled. So if that happens, once again, it's not an ideal situation for Whirlpool. But I could jump back in Whirlpool at some point in time. It's just kind of a wait and see situation. Obviously, the 3 stocks I bought today that we're about to get into, I think those are incredible opportunities. And you gotta understand there's a lot of opportunities to make money in the market, right? Maybe Whirlpool is not the one, or maybe it is the one. But regardless, I think other stocks are going to make me a lot of money. So even if Whirlpool does well, which I hope it does, I hope all stocks do well. Even if Whirlpool does well, and let's say I'm not in it, like, I'll be like, hey, I still made a bunch of money on these other stocks. So that's just something to keep in mind there, okay? So we covered why I sold Whirlpool. Now let's get into 3 stocks I bought and why, okay? Number 1 of these 3 stocks I bought here today and why is CRM, Salesforce. This is my new building giant. This is a new stock I've been buying that is going to be a giant position for me over time. I bought another 40 shares here today in the public account at $244.99 for this one, okay? As far as my current position, it's up to around a $34,000 position, up to 140 shares. I made 2 buys so far. The first one was on September 4th, bought 100 shares, and then today I bought 40 shares, okay? So obviously there's like no meaningful move in the stock so far. I just started buying the position. I need to build this stock out as quickly as I possibly can. I need to get this stock fully built before we get to Q2 2026. Now, some of you might look at that and you're like, that seems like a long time. It's not a long time. I got to build this rapidly, really, really quickly here, okay? When you've been in the market 17 years, time moves faster, I guess you can say. It's kind of like when you're a kid. When you're a kid, it's like life moves so slow. It does it not? Like a new year is like such a long time to you. When you're like 50 years old, it's like, oh my gosh, like the years just fly by. It's like we're binge watching this thing, right? So with CRM here, I got to build this position out rapidly, in my opinion. And the reason being, when it comes to tech stocks, which obviously CRM is a tech stock, right? Software company, things move rapidly. And when a stock starts a move, when it's a tech stock, it goes quick, man. Look at, for instance, Google. My Google position, I started that on April 23rd. It's already up almost 53%. Quick. And a lot of that move, honestly, has come in the last 1 month. The last month. And the reason stocks like tech stocks move so quickly is the narrative can change so quickly. From like Google had a narrative around it like a few months ago of like, oh, the government's going to tear them apart. Oh, ChatGPT is going to own them. All this stuff, like all these narratives. Oh my gosh, they were just throwing them at Google. And then the narrative changed. And what happened? The stock appreciates 50+% in a snap of fingers. It happens so quick, right? So with CRM right now, that company's dealing with a lot of negativity. Oh, they're going to be disrupted by AI. Oh, all these companies are going to build out products that compete with Salesforce and their own in-house products, and they're going to have AI doing all those things. And it's like, whatever. Like, believe whatever you want to believe, but that's likely not happening, okay? Salesforce is so entrenched in these companies. Good luck. You want to, build something in-house that is better than Salesforce? Good luck. Or something comparable. is likely going to end up being a disaster. I heard something like, a stat recently I heard was something like 94% of projects were just complete failures that people were trying to do in regards to this, okay? Another stock that's moved huge is Oracle. Look at Oracle. You know, its stock was $105 back in the fourth quarter of 2023. Now it's $300 plus stock. These stocks move rapidly. Another good example is Avago, Broadcom here. Broadcom, you look at that one back August 31st, 2023, $83 stock. Today's $369. Now, this does not mean that Salesforce is going to 3x or 4x in the next, 2 years or something like that. But the moral of the story is when you have tech stocks down and out, you have to build the positions rapidly. You don't have all the time in the world. People think, I have so much time. A lot of people thought that in 2022 and they were all wrong. You looked at Meta at $88 and people were like, no, it might go lower. I got time to buy Meta, right? Next thing you knew, Meta was 200 plus. And you're like, crap, I never started my position. What am I going to do? And then Meta was like 300 plus. And you're like, what? And then it was 500 plus. And then it was 600 plus. And it was 700 plus, right? And soon it's going to be 1,000 plus. So things move rapidly when it comes to tech stocks. You don't have all the time in the world. You see a great opportunity, you got to pounce. And you got to add that position as quickly as possible over a few months, and then you let it ride. And if you're right on the stock, it's going to go up massively, right? Now, Salesforce, I don't want to go super back in depth with Salesforce because I talked about a lot just in this past week on the main channel. There's one point I'm going to make that I'm going to show you guys in regards to AI cycle that I haven't made in these previous videos. But if you want to hear me talk very in depth about Salesforce, watch this video I produced a couple days ago called 7 Stocks You Must Buy Before 2026. Or you can watch this stock from 6 days ago. I bought a new stock today. You can watch those videos, check those out if you want to hear more in-depth talk about CRM, Salesforce. But this is a point I haven't made in regards to Salesforce that I think is an important point I need to make, okay? Because people don't understand. They look at this AI cycle and like, what's going on here? Like these chip companies like nvidia are just booming, right? Broadcom's booming. AMD's just at the very beginning innings of booming. And they're like, but why is anybody actually making money from all these chips that are being sold other than the companies that are selling the chips, right? And so far, it's like very, very minimal amounts of money are being made from most companies, right? But you got to understand about this AI cycle is it started all in 2023. And, very shortly into 2023, what happened? NVIDIA's revenue started to skyrocket. And then they skyrocketed more, right? And then basically this chip cycle around 26, 27 I would say more toward 27. In 27, the chip cycle will start to more flatten out. That does not mean no one's going to buy AI chips moving forward. That doesn't mean there can't be some slight growth in AI chips after 2027. But the crazy increase is like going to start seeming like almost like a flat line for the chip cycle part of this story, okay? But what we're seeing is, if you look at really revenue that came through for companies that were non-chip related in doing AI projects. I mean, it was almost nothing in 23, 24, right? Because everybody's spending on these chips to hopefully make a bunch of money off them. But you got to buy all the chips. You got to get them all installed. You got to get the products built. It's like a whole site. It's a whole process. It doesn't just happen overnight. Like, I'm going to buy a bunch of NVIDIA chips and then I'm going to just make so much money the very next day. No. Then you got to worry about marketing and selling those products, getting them out to the customer base. It's a lag. There's a big lag here. So if you look at 23, basically it was almost no one was benefiting from AI cycle outside of NVIDIA in 2023, right? Then 2024, you might have started to see a very early glimpse of some companies like Meta started to, recognize like AI is starting to help them make more money by feeding people videos or pictures or things like that keep them on the platform more often. That means they see more ads. Advertisers have better results. So you started seeing very early. 25, we've seen a little bit more, but I think 26 and after is when things really start to take off in regards to software and AI and companies that are non-chip related, making fortunes of money from this, okay? And the thing is, when it comes to companies that are going to make money from software and AI and other companies, it's not going to stop. That's going to keep going for a long, we're going to be talking about that's going to skyrocket all the way likely into the 2030s. Because of how big the lag is here. Like these companies aren't just going to sell their AI products 1 year and it's done. No. All these companies are really going to be on monthly recurrings or yearly recurrings. And then they're going to keep marketing those products, selling them to more and more customers, more and more companies getting them in, going up on the prices over time, right? As customers begin to see more and more value. And that's a cycle that's way longer than the chip cycle. The chip cycle is great, right? And this initial wave is going to be massive. Like, NVIDIA's revenues, AMD's revenues in 2027 are going to be just ridiculous, right? But you're going to see revenue growth start to slow a lot, 2028, 2029 for companies like that. And AMD's a big major investment of mine, right? And that's fine. Like, those companies don't have to grow at, the sorts of clips they're going to be growing at. Certainly NVIDIA over the past few years and in AMD over the next few years. Like, that's not sustainable forever. But on the software side, oh my gosh, in my opinion, on the software side, inning one starts in 2026. And then we start going from there and there and there, right? We're already getting the early signs of non-hardware big money coming. Look no different than Palantir. Palantir's already showing you the early signs of hey, there's money to be made out here if you got the right products, you know how to market it right. And Palantir's got the right products and they've marketed phenomenally, right? And look at their revenues already. Went from 30% revenue growth to 36%, 39%, latest quarter 48%. And now the question is, where's Palantir revenues top at? Is it at the 48% number or are they going 50% plus? So, they're already, Palantir's already hint, we're showing you the way, right? If you look at somebody like Salesforce is already showing us the early signs that it's coming. If you look at their latest numbers, data cloud and AI annual recurring revenue, $1.2 billion. Such a small number compared to the overall revenue Salesforce does. Does $40 billion plus of revenue is expected this year, right? So it's $1.2 billion, it's nothing of that. But the growth was 120% on a year-over-year basis. They're going to be able to grow triple digits for a while. And then we're going to be talking about insanely strong double-digit growth. So Salesforce is already giving you the signal hey, we're going to make a lot of money from this stuff. Look at the growth rates we're putting up. Look at how fast the revenue's building. Palantir's already given everybody but the thing with Palantir, everybody gets it already. Everybody's okay, they see it. The stocks obviously reflected that, right? People don't see it in regards to Salesforce yet. They will see it. And the reason they see it so easily with Palantir is the overall revenue growth. With Salesforce, because the component of the business that's growing so fast right now is such a small number, people don't see it yet. They will see it in 26, 27, 28. And that's why I need to build out this position rapidly, okay? So Salesforce, I love this one. And I'm going to continue to buy it. I'm going to make it a massive position likely in the public account. I'm going to probably build the position in other portfolios as well. And then we'll let the chips ride and we'll see what happens. I think I'll be right on this one. I think I'll make a ton of money. I think it's going to be very anti-stressful. And I think it's going to be very exciting. And whenever you got Benioff leading the company, it's usually very exciting, okay? Stock number 2 of 3 I bought here today is NKE Nike. Bought another $1,700 worth of Nike in the public account. $74.16 I paid for those shares there. 23 shares more as far as Nike goes. Continue to build that position. Now, I spoke about Nike in this video here, 7 stocks you must buy before 2026. I don't want to go back over my whole bullish thesis in regards to Nike. It was one of those stocks I spoke about in that video there. So if you want to hear me talk more about Nike, you can watch that video. Now, an important subject I got to say in regards to Nike, and this is not something I've publicly discussed yet, but I got to say this. I'm done buying Nike at the end of this month. We're almost to the end of the show. So, here's the deal, okay? I own 2,800 shares in Nike. It's over a $200,000 position, and it hasn't even started going up yet. So it's very meaningful. Remember, the public count's a little less than $4 million portfolio, right? So a $200,000 plus position in that portfolio is very significant when you factor in, we haven't even started getting the gains yet on this stock. So as the gains come, if I'm right on Nike over the next several years, right, it's going to become even a bigger position of the portfolio. So likely after October, basically October and after, I'm not buying more of the stock. I'll be good on what I have. That doesn't mean the stock's not a buy anymore. It's still going to be a buy in October, and it's still going to be a buy in November, and it will still be a buy in December. I'm just not looking to add more shares. And so Nike has my full blessing. If it wants to start going up October and after in 2026, go for it, because I'll be done buying it across all my portfolios. I'll finish off my position buying basically at the end of this month, essentially. No, this is a very important, you might say, well, but you have so much conviction in Nike, right? You believe it's going to go up, right? Well, sure. But you can never get too overexposed to a position. It doesn't matter how, somebody's been in the game 17 years. Listen, man, you can't go too heavy on a stock. You got to stay diversified. You go too heavy and you're wrong, and sometimes you're going to be wrong. It could be devastating in your portfolio. It can set you back between 1 and 4 years, depending upon how bad it is, right? It can set you back between 1 and 4 years. For instance, I got overexposed to a chef back in 2022, right? And then, so that set the portfolio back quite a bit. And so from my 2021 high, it took me all the way into, I think, the end of 23 or the beginning of 24 to get back there because I was way overexposed to a stock that didn't work out. That's why you can't do it. You stay diversified in this game. Doesn't matter how sure you are. Doesn't matter about this is the next 10x opportunity, right? And by the way, Nike's not the next 10x opportunity. I just think it's a stock I'm going to make a lot of money in over the next several years and be able to hold it for a long time to go in the future and be very anti-stress stock, right? Pay me out big fatty dividends, buy back shares, continue to build the business, get the profitability back, get the margins right, and it's going to be fun. But you can't get overexposed. Otherwise, you set yourself up for a big problem. AMD is a perfect example of this. You know how much I believe in AMD. You know I believe AMD is going to $300 to $400 stock over the next couple of years here, right? Yeah, I think it's going there. Do you see me get overexposed to it? No. I own 2,555 shares. It's a $400,000 plus position, right? But if you factor in my cost basis, it's actually less than a $300,000 I put into AMD. And yeah, I believe so much in it. I think the stock's going to be a beast, but it's a perfect example of a maxed out position, okay? Meta. Meta. $1.2 million position. I think Meta's going to 1,000 plus within the next 12 months. I'm not adding more Meta in the public count. I'm already overexposed. And just because I think it's going there doesn't mean it's going there. I think there's a lot of stocks that are going up over the next 12, 24, 36 months, right? Alrighty, guys, stock number 3 of these 3 stocks up here is HNST Honest. Bought 777 shares here today. $3.82 I paid for these ones. If you don't know Honest, some would say it's a boring business model. Diapers, wipes, soap, shampoo, makeup, all that sort of stuff is what Honest sells. And they've got a great niche market in regards to business. This is a trailing 12 month. Looking at 1000xstocks.com, this is a trailing 12 month of revenue. This is where we're at right now. This is where we're expected to go. So nice revenue growth. Carla's done an amazing job turning this company around. Look at the margins. Look at the margin increase. From margins, gross margins that were in the low 20s to now pushing 40% plus. Gross margins. And we don't even know where the top is. Like maybe this was a top, maybe we're not going to do any better than 40%. Or maybe Carla's going to keep going here and we're going to be talking about this company's going to eventually get to gross margins of 45, 50%, which would be pretty insanely impressive for this category. Look at net margins. That's bottom line margins, right? They were like off the chart. It was so bad before Carla took over this company. And look at the net margins since. Unbelievable turnaround with this company, right? Look at how ugly that earnings per share was. Carla takes it over, already starts making massive improvements, and now we're talking about a company that should be profitable moving forward. Huge. Balance sheet's a beast at this company. They're loaded to the sky with cash, right? No debt on this balance sheet. The shareholder equity's booming for Honest. Now, the one thing you could maybe poke at with Honest, other than like, it's a boring stock, right, is shares outstanding. And I understand that. Like, shares outstanding have gone up over time. But here's the deal. I think they could do a big buyback in 26. The reason being is they should be profitable in 26 and after. Like, it's just a question of how much in profits they're going to pull in a year. I think that's really the only debate. But then additionally, you look at the cash balance on the company, and I think the company could easily do a $20 to $50 million share buyback next year, which for a company with a $400 million market cap is a lot. And you know what that's going to do to the earnings per share of the company in future years? So I like Honest. I like it a whole lot. I know it's supposedly a boring stock and a small cap and all that, but I think there's a lot of money to be made here, and I think we'll be out of the gulag shortly, and then I think we'll be talking about $10. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. If Carla keeps executing the way she's done, we'll be out of the gulag very shortly, and we'll be up into $10 before you know it, okay? Appreciate y'all for joining me as always. Thanks so much for being here. Once again, got some free resources for you guys here today. Pinned comment down there, number 1. If you're looking for access to my portfolio management checklist, that will be pinned comment number 1. And the second pinned comment down there will be this free workshop for you guys. I can send it over via email or text, however you want to receive it. How much money you need to retire. I think you guys will enjoy that one. Much love and have a great day.